Welcome to the biology classes. We have already dealt with angiosperms, in which we have studied that they bear flowers and they have two generations, gametophytic and the sporophytic. But the gametophytes of the angiosperms, they are attached to the main plant body in the form of flowers. That's why they are called as flowering plants. So today we are going to deal in detail with the parts of the flower and various types of flowers that we are going to discuss later on. The reproductive structure of angiosperms is the flower. Now flower, if you look at the diagram, you can see that flower has a stalk with the help of which it is attached to the main plant. That stalk is called as pedicel. The pedicel has a swollen part on its tip which is called as thalamus, and all the parts of the flower is attached to the thalamus. Now there are four whorls in any angiospermic flower. The outermost is the whorl that consists of sepal, the green colored small leaf like structures. This whorl is called as calyx. Next to it you have the whorl of petals, which is called as Corolla, and inside you have androecium that consists of the male reproductive structure, and in the center you have female reproductive structure, which is called the gynoecium. The term androecium may be new to you. See, all the stamen of the flower together forms a male reproductive unit, which is called as androecium. And about the stamen, you know that, and in the diagram also it is clear that it has two parts, anther and the filament with which anther is attached to the flower. Now this anther has pollen grains inside it. Coming to the female reproductive part, you have gynoecium, which can have one to many carpels. Now each carpel has three parts: stigma, style and ovary. Stigma is the topmost part on which the pollen grains land. Then you have style, through which the pollen tube grows, and then ovary, in which ovule or the female gametophyte is present. This much we have already discussed in the angiosperm part of the plant kingdom. In the diagram, after the pedicel, you can see green colored small petal like structures coming out. These are called as sepals, and all the sepals of a flower together form one whorl, which is called the calyx, which is the outermost whorl. Next to that you can see brightly colored red colored petals, and all the petals of a flower together form a layer or a whorl, which is called as corolla. So these terms should be clear to you. Calyx means sepals together, corolla means all the petals together, gynoecium means all the carpels together, and androecium means all the stamens together. So these four whorls form the whorls of a flower. Some flowers can have either androecium or gynoecium in it. They are called as unisexual flower, like the flower of a papaya. It can be either male or female. But in this picture, in the diagram, you can see that both androecium and gynoecium are there together. Such flowers are called as bisexual flowers. There are certain signs and symbols that we will use while writing the floral formula. That too I'll discuss along with the description of the flower that I am giving you. So suppose a flower that we are speaking has only androecium, then it will be a male flower, and this sign will be used. This sign will be used if the flower is female and has only gynoecium. Suppose a flower has both gynoecium and androecium, then it will be bisexual, and this sign will be used for depicting it. Now from the symmetry point of view, if you observe this flower, then you can say that it is radially symmetrical. Through the central axis of the flower, if you are going to cut it through any plane, then you will get two equal halves. So this is radially symmetrical flower, and in technical terms it is called as an actinomorphic flower. This is flower of datura plant. Similarly, mustard and chili, they also have actinomorphic flowers. Now if you look at this flower, this is flower of gulmohar. You can divide it only through one vertical plane, that is, it is bilaterally symmetrical, and you will get right and left equal halves. Such flowers are called as zygomorphic flowers, that has bilateral symmetry. Other than gulmohar, pea, bean, cassia, all these examples are given in your book. You will have to learn these are all zygomorphic flowers. This canna plant you must have seen very commonly. It has big showy flowers, and if you closely observe the flower, then it has no symmetry. You cannot cut this flower into two or more equal halves. So this type of flower is called as asymmetric flower. Actinomorphic flowers, these are radially symmetrical, so we symbolize it with a circle and a plus sign, showing that through any plane if we will cut, it will give equal halves. Zygomorphic flower is shown by a slash and two dots on either sides, showing that it can be cut only through one plane to get two equal halves. Now, depending on the number of members present in each whorl, a flower can be either trimerous like this, that means it has all the members in multiples of 3. You can see there are 6 petals here, so it is in multiple of 3. This flower is tetramerous, that means it is in the multiple of 4. You can see that this flower has 4 petals. So any flower that has petals, sepals, or any whorl in the multiples of 4, then it is called as a tetramerous flower. When a flower has appendages in the multiple of 5, then it becomes a pentamerous flower, just like the flower that you can see in the picture. This is the flower of a bougainvillea. The white colored structures that you can see inside, that is actually the flower, and outside the white color structure you can see pink leafy structures. These leafy structures, this can be of any color. This can be green in color or colored and showy like this. These are called as bracts, and when a flower has bract, it is called as bracteate, and if it does not have a bract, then it is called as ebracteate. So these two terms you should know, and this is the symbol that is used to represent a bracteate flower. Now, depending on the relative position of various whorls with respect to the ovary, you can divide all the flowers into 3 categories. The flower can be either hypogynous, perigynous, or epigynous. Let's see what these terms are. First of all, let us observe a hypogynous flower. This is the flower of a hibiscus plant, that is a China rose. It is a hypogynous flower. Now, why do we call it hypogynous? In the picture you can see the ovary, and all the parts like sepal, the petal, all the parts are coming from below the ovary. So such flowers are called as hypogynous, in which the flower whorls are coming from below the ovary. Now such an ovary is called as a superior ovary, because the gynoecium in these flowers, they occupy the highest position. So I hope this is clear. For hypogynous flower, the ovary will be superior, and all the other parts, it will arise from below the ovary. It is represented with this symbol showing that the gynoecium is superior. Now this is a perigynous flower. You must have identified this is a flower of a rose, and you can see the thalamus, the green colored part, thalamus, and all the whorls are arising at the rim of the thalamus, at the ridge or the margin of the thalamus. From that there all the whorls are arising, and it is almost at the level of the ovary. So such flowers which has the same level of ovary along with the other whorls is called as a perigynous flower. Plum, peach, rose, these are the examples of perigynous flower, and in this case the ovary is said to be half inferior. In the hypogynous we called it superior. Here we are calling it half inferior because it is neither superior nor inferior. This is a guava flower, and in this you can see that the thalamus has grown, putting the ovary within it, and all the other parts are arising above the ovary. So in this case the ovary is inferior and all other parts are above it. So this type of a flower is called as epigynous flower. In an epigynous flower, the thalamus outgrows the ovary, encloses it, and all other parts are attached above the ovary. Just you can see that the ovary is below and all other parts are coming above the ovary. This is a symbol to represent an epigynous flower or an inferior ovary. What is the function of a sepal? When the flower is in its bud stage, then the sepal covers it and protects it. Later on, when the flower blooms, then the sepal comes below the flower. As you can see, the green color structure here is the sepal. Now all the sepals in this flower is united. The term given to such arrangement of sepal is gamosepalous. In this rose flower, you can see the calyx, that is the whorl of the sepals. In that, the sepals are all separate from each other, isn't it? So such arrangement of sepals is called as polysepalous condition. Similarly, for corolla, that is for the petals, if all the petals are separate, then it is polypetalous condition, and if all the petals are united, then it is gamopetalous condition. Now if we come to the corolla, then you must have seen in various flowers the petals are brightly colored, and it can be of various colors, like it can be purple color, red color, orange color, yellow color, or it can be of white color. And there is diversity in the shape also. It can be either tubular in shape, bell shaped, funnel shaped, or wheel shaped. So there can be a wide variety in case of corolla. Now I am going to take up a very important topic, that is aestivation. First of all, let us come to the definition. The mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in flower with respect to the other members of the same whorl is known as aestivation. इसका क्या मतलब है कि हम अरेंजमेंट देख रहे हैं सेपल का विद रिस्पेक्ट टू अदर मेंबर्स, कि उसी वर्ल के अदर मेंबर्स कैसे उसके साथ अरेंज होके रह रहे हैं. ठीक है, अगर पेटल का देख रहे हैं तो एक पेटल दूसरे पेटल के साथ किस तरह के अरेंजमेंट में रह रहा है एक फ्लावर में, उसको एस्टिवेशन कहते हैं. तो हमें बेसिकली 4 टाइप्स ऑफ एस्टिवेशन पढ़ने हैं. पहला है वेलवेट. वेलवेट एस्टिवेशन में सेपल्स या पेटल्स इस तरह से अरेंज होते हैं कि कोई भी पेटल या सेपल की ओवरलैपिंग नहीं होती, एक दूसरे के ऊपर चढ़ चढ़ के नहीं अरेंज्ड है, बल्कि एक दूसरे से अलग अलग होके अरेंज्ड है. मार्जिन में एक दूसरे से टच हो सकते हैं, पेटल्स एक दूसरे से मार्जिन में टच हो सकते हैं लेकिन ओवरलैप नहीं करेंगे, तब उस अरेंजमेंट को वेलवेट अरेंजमेंट कहेंगे, जैसा येलो फ्लावर में, ऊपर वाले येलो फ्लावर में तुम्हें दिख रहा है. ठीक. नेक्स्ट है ट्विस्टेड एस्टिवेशन. इस एस्टिवेशन में क्या होता है कि जो पेटल है वो एक तरफ से ओवरलैप करता है. ठीक है, डायग्राम में आप देख सकते हैं अच्छे से कि एक जो है वो दूसरे पेटल के नीचे है और दूसरा वाला मार्जिन एक और पेटल है उसके ऊपर है. तो इस तरह से हर पेटल एक तरफ से अंदर बैठा हुआ है और दूसरी तरफ से ओवरलैप कर रहा है. तो इस तरह के अरेंजमेंट को कहते हैं ट्विस्टेड अरेंजमेंट, क्योंकि इसमें हमें पेटल्स जो हैं या सेपल्स जो है ट्विस्टेड फॉर्म में ऐसे दिखेंगे, क्योंकि अरेंजमेंट इस तरह का है कि एक पार्ट, एक मार्जिन अंदर है और दूसरा मार्जिन ओवरलैप कर रहा है। इस तरह के अरेंजमेंट को ट्विस्टेड अरेंजमेंट कहते हैं। जैसे हिबिस्कस के फ्लावर के पेटल्स को आपने देखा होगा, उसमें ट्विस्टेड एस्टिवेशन होता है। नेक्स्ट एस्टिवेशन है इम्ब्रिकेट एस्टिवेशन। इसमें भी ओवरलैपिंग होती है, लेकिन कोई पर्टिकुलर पैटर्न या डायरेक्शन पेटल्स फॉलो नहीं करते। पेटल्स या सेपल्स वो फॉलो नहीं करते, कोई पर्टिकुलर डायरेक्शन में नहीं। कोई मार्जिन अंदर है तो उसी फ्लावर का दूसरा मार्जिन भी अंदर है, किसी फ्लावर का मार्जिन बाहर है तो उसके दूसरा फ्लावर भी शायद बाहर हो, या कोई मतलब कोई पर्टिकुलर पैटर्न फॉलो नहीं होता है, तो उसको इम्ब्रिकेट एस्टिवेशन कहते हैं। ठीक है, जैसे कैशिया है, गुलमोहर है। ठीक है, ये जो येलो कलर का नीचे वाला फ्लावर है, ये कैशिया का फ्लावर है, और इसमें अगर तुम पेटल्स को देखो तो ऊपर वाला जो पेटल है वो कम्प्लीटली अंदर है। जो साइड में जो पेटल है उसको देखो, एक अंदर है और एक उसका मार्जिन जो है बाहर की तरफ है। इस तरह के अरेंजमेंट को क्या कहते हैं? इम्ब्रिकेट अरेंजमेंट। लास्ट एस्टिवेशन एक टिपिकल एस्टिवेशन है, जिसको वैक्सिलरी या पैपिलोनेशियस अरेंजमेंट कहते हैं। ये ज़्यादा हमें पैपिलोनेसी फैमिली में दिखते हैं, जैसे कि पी है, बीन के फ्लावर्स हैं, इन सब में हम लोग को ये वैक्सिलरी अरेंजमेंट दिखता है। यहाँ पे मॉर्निंग ग्लोरी का एक फ्लावर दिखाया गया ब्लू कलर का। तो इसमें क्या होता है कि एक बड़ा सा पेटल होता है, उसको स्टैंडर्ड कहते हैं। वो ओवरलैप करता है टू लैटरल पेटल्स को, जिसको विंग्स कहते हैं। और जो विंग्स हैं वो इन टर्न दो और छोटे छोटे पेटल्स होते हैं सबसे बीच में अंदर, वो दोनों एक दूसरे के साथ फ्यूज़ होते हैं और फॉर्म करता है एक कील, और उस कील को ओवरलैप करता है विंग। तो इस तरह के अरेंजमेंट को कहते हैं वैक्सिलरी एस्टिवेशन। जैसे यहाँ पे देखो, एक वैक्सिलरी एस्टिवेशन वाला फ्लावर है, तो तुम्हें एक बड़ा सा पेटल जो दिख रहा है वो स्टैंडर्ड है। फिर उसके नेक्स्ट लेयर में तुम्हें विंग्स दिख रहे हैं, और सबसे नीचे जो छोटे छोटे तुम्हें दिख रहे हैं पेटल्स, वो कील है, जो एक साथ यूनाइट होके रहते हैं हमेशा। इसी कील के अंदर इनके रिप्रोडक्टिव स्ट्रक्चर्स होते हैं, एंड्रोशियम और gynoecium. So this arrangement is called as vexillary estivation.